Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done using Loren Sherman's script, which uses a combination of dots and line modifiers on these four different shaped consonant stems. So the line modifiers, like these guys here, count where they end on a letter stem. And they don't need to be straight. And I do a lot of cheese in this design with those line modifiers, making them look like pretend word circles. So one of those examples is here, where this is just a curvy line modifier coming off of this stem. So same thing here. So this isn't a word circle because it's not a complete circle. It doesn't have this part connected here. And then same thing with this one, whereas this is an actual word circle and this is an actual word circle. It gets kind of tricky when I do overlapping stuff like that. Anyway, and then dot modifiers are like these guys here, 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 and the little ones here. So anyway, those combined with our four different shaped letter stems makes the consonants. So there are only three different stems used in this design because there's actually no letter B, C, H, D, F, H, or G in this whole quote. So we don't use this stem at all. And then vowels are smaller circles. So these guys here, little circles, and they have different positions depending upon what vowel they are and if they're attached on one of these four consonant stems. So A's are always on the outside of the word circle. So this is an A here, there's an A there, and they have different positions depending upon, if they're attached to a consonant, the only time they're inside that consonant is if it's one of these stems, which actually goes outside the word circle, because no other stems go outside the word circle. Otherwise, they're just hanging outside it. And you read the vowel after the consonant. So in this case, you would read this letter T before you'd read the O, E, I, or U, or A. So yeah, let's go ahead and read our first word. So here's the bottom of the word circle. And this is the letter A, again, all by itself. And the only way to start a word with a vowel is to have it all by itself like this. So here's the A, and then we have a double line here. So this is a double consonant stem, and they're both circles inside the word circle. And because they're the same thickness of line, it's the same letter twice. So consonant stems, if stacked, you read thin to thick, and the same thickness is the same letter. So because we know that these are the same letter, these three dot modifiers all go to the same letter. So 3 dots makes this a double L. So all is our first word. And now we have our next word. So like I talked about before, this is not a word circle. These are just the line modifiers. And our next word circle is actually this circle right here, which is continuous except for stems. And this is a shallowdivot stem, so it's recognizable as such. Here we have our first letter here. And starting at the bottom, going counterclockwise, you first hit this. And it is a circle on the line of the word circle, like this. And there is a vowel on it. There is an O hanging out on the center line of it, and it is like a bead on a string, so it is an O. So this is a THO, and then we have this shallowdivot here with 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it, so that would make it an S. And then right in the center of that stem and on the line of the word circle is an E. So THOSE, so those is the word right here. So all those, and then we have our next word here, and this is the trickiest one to read in the whole sentence, I think, because of how I've overlapped some of the consonant stems. So here we have our first word, our first letter, and it is a circle inside the word circle. So we're in this row, and attached to it there's a vowel, and it's like a bead on a string, so it is an O. And this O could be anywhere along that line, because it is an O as long as it's like a bead on a string. It only becomes an A when it's outside the word circle. So this is an O. And we are going to count the lines that end on this stem. So this thick line ends on it, this thick line ends on it, and that thin line ends on it. So that would be 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it. So that would be an M. So MO, and then we continue around. Here's our next letter, and this is why it's tricky. This letter overlaps with our other 2 letter stems, and it has 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it. So the straight one going backwards, and then these little like horn-shaped ones, these little chunkers, end on it as well. So 1, 2, 3 makes it another M, and then we have an E hanging out right inside it. So like that. So MOME, and then we have this last stem, same stem, and there's just the 1 line ending on it because the thick ones pass through. So that would be an N, because N's have 1 line, whereas M's have 3 lines. So MOMEN, and then we have this stuff in here. And this gets kind of busy as far as the concentric circles happening. But this outermost circle is again just the lines coming off of this thick circle. But this thin one right here is another stacked stem. So they're both shallow divots, they're both this shape, but they're different thicknesses. We have a thin one and a thick one. So when we do the if stacked, read thin to thick. And this thin one doesn't have anything that ends on it. The only stem with things ending on it is this thick one. So this is just a T with no modifiers. And then this thick one has the 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it, so that's an S. So there's the T and then the S. So M-O-M-E-N-T-S. So moments is the trickiest word in the sentence, and it has been read, so let's go. Here's the bottom of our next word, and here's our next letter. It is a shallow divot, and it's kind of tricky to tell here, but this line passes clean through everything here and doesn't end on that stem. It keeps going through the dot. The only thing that ends on this stem are those 2 thick lines. So that makes that a W. I, line going towards the middle. And then we have this double line again, just like this double line, and that is another double L. So 1, 2, 3 dots on that double L. So will, W-I, double L. And then we have a B, E. B has no modifiers. Oh, there is a deep divot. Haha, deep divot, letter B in the word B. Deep divot. So it starts to curve back in on itself. So unlike this stem, which doesn't curve back in on itself, this one does. So that would be a B and then an E attached on the consonant. It's not attached on a consonant stem. It's just on the word circle. So it's like this. So B-E. So will, B. And then we have this word. Bottom of it's here. Here's our first letter. And as far as this being slightly lower, it's still centered right on that middle line. It's not in this bottom quadrant. So even though if you start at the bottom and go counterclockwise, this is the first word this is the first letter you hit, which is why it's the first letter you read. So here's our first letter, and it has 3 dots on a circle inside the word circle, so that's another L. So L, and then we have the O here, like a bead on a string on the L. And then it's okay to have lines end on dots, so that doesn't change anything. It's just a dot modifier on this L-O. And then we have another stacked TS, except this is set up so the S is here with 1, 2, 3 lines on the thin one, and then the T is the thick one. So S-T versus this T with no modifiers, S with the 3 lines. So S-T, T-S. So L-O-S-T, lost. And then we have our next word here. I, line going towards the middle, and then the N, 1 line on it. So in, done exactly the same as this in. I actually copy-pasted those. Go me. So in and in. Here's our next word after in. Here's a T, I, line going towards the middle, and then the M has 1, 2 thick lines, and then the third is the thin line here. So there's the M, and then the E in the middle of that. So time. So in time, and then we have this comma. So this dashed line and this inner line is the sentence circle. I don't have sentence structure on this card, but a small filled in circle is a comma. So there's the comma after time, and then we have 3 dots on the L, I line going towards the middle, and then K has 2 dots, and then the E. And it's important that this line ends on this word circle, not on that vowel, because otherwise it would look like both an I and a U, because I is like an E, but with the line going towards the middle, and U is like an E, but with a line going outwards. So it's important that that line ends on the word circle, not on the vowel. So yeah, and then we have this next word, bottom of it's here. Here's our first letter we hit, T, E, A outside the word circle. And then we have another stacked stem. This shallow, this thin one, which we read first, doesn't have any of these lines ending on it, but it's got those 3 dots closest to it. So that would be an R, and then 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. So tears, and then IN, just like this IN. And then R has 3 dots on it, just like this R. A outside the word circle, I, line going towards the middle, towards the N. So there's rain. So all those memories will be lost in time, comma, like tears in rain. And that is a fantastic Blade Runner quote, and I think this will look really cool as a tattoo on the inner forearm, with this nice kind of tapered shape and to this scale. Oh, and these things here, this kind of parenthesis thing, you don't need those. I just thought it looked kind of nice to kind of contain the design, but if you want to just have this be the start of it, and then this be the end of it, they do not do anything at all. I just think they look cool. So yeah, that's that. That's this design. I hope you like it. Bye.